I'm going to click the button.
Push the button.
Welcome everyone to a FACEHAMMER live show.
Hello there.
Today's been a fun day of Belakor pre-orders and chat online. So hopefully everyone's
lots
got
of
their,
sensible lists being thrown around. Lots of sensible opinions being thrown around.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
none of that. We don't want sensible opinions. That's not what we want.
not
No,
what
I
we go
get
on
it.
Twitter
like,
for.
No, it's not too well. Yeah, I mean, the internet's the internet, right? So.
Yeah.
Firstly, we are 1 sub away from 2K. So if anyone watching this isn't subbed,
Ooh, really?
just click it. Yeah.
Guys.
It rounds up to 2K on the description, but it'd be nice to get to 2K
sort it out,
while
guys.
we're on the stream.
What are you doing?
I just wanted to, a little bit, Grace here. So I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who checked out our Belakor video earlier. If you haven't seen that and you want to know what everything does, then please watch that. Obviously,
yeah, it's
not
just
right now,
the full breakdown of each of the new bits relevant for match play in the book, essentially.
And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to get some army lists out using some of the stuff from Belakor. We're happy to take suggestions if people watching are particularly interested in something, unless it's Seraphon, then you can go away. No, I'm kidding.
But seriously, this book's not going to change anything for you.
There's literally no list. There's
Unfortunately,
there's no reason to write a Seraphon or a Zinch list, I don't think. So we're gonna start off with Belakor list because it seems apt that we do that.
Jerry, isn't it?
Yeah,
Apparently.
it kind of needs to be him. Now, there's been a little bit of I was surprised actually. A few people like a bit down on him, like not very happy with his rules or how good he is, and I don't know. Like I think he's awesome, but maybe I've just got like model blindness because I'm just like I love the model, but I don't know. I mean, what do you think about it, Byron? From looking at like lists and stuff today, have you changed your opinion on him, or do you still think he's worth?
I just think he seems pretty fair, to be honest.
Yeah. Whereas
really.
The last one felt very unfair. So like an unfair Belakor would be like 240 points, always include it, bit boring.
Yeah.
Ability's a bit too powerful, doesn't he have to be alive? And then it's like, oh, he's not as good as that. It's like, well, probably a good thing for the game, I think.
Yeah. When stuff starts from the most efficiently pointed 2-spell wizard the game has ever seen, you know, let's set our expectations at a reasonable level, right?
Yeah.
Like literally that's not an unfair statement, right?
No, I think so. And I think old Belakor would have probably been landed about the 300 point mark if he got adjusted and stayed exactly as he was.
Yeah.
Because that ability is just, I mean, like you pay 160 points for like a pretty rubbish wizard with 2 spells normally. You know, not alone combat and the ability and everything else. So
in Destructional Vampires, you pay like 200 points for that.
Or Slanesh, no.
Unfortunately, true. Yeah. Oh yeah, get a crap chariot. Crap chariot. 210 points.
Just order, right? Order, just get away with everything. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Well,
as far as wizards, I mean,
play the
Order
protagonists or get out, basically.
Order started with Teclis at 300, I think Teclis was, like baby old Teclis, and that was a bargain, and basically he did 3 spells at a little bit of a bonus. And then, you know, you had the 160 point Chaos Wizard that had 2 casts in each. Maybe it was on a disc or something like that.
You're talking about.
Yeah, I can't quite recall, but like 2 cast wizards have very, very rarely been like, it's like 100 points a spell is how I always used to think about it. Yeah. Anything else is a bonus.
I still think it bonkers that like a Tree Lord Ancient isn't a 2 cast wizard, but anyway, Order's got enough. Let's leave it at that. Sylvaneth, the Moonclan Grots of the Order Allegiance. Is it Kivtek Ritty? you say you find it hard to write lists for the army. I guess you're talking about Legion of the First Prince, because the demons don't really do anything to Belakor. But for me, all they're there is to be ablative wounds. We do have a list on the Legion, which Byron wrote. So
crafted with a level of finesse,
a level of deviousness warranting. We were chatting a little bit, weren't we? Where you're out in the sun enjoying a little bit of sunshine today, which is nice.
Oh yeah, got pink nose. It's excellent.
Bit rare for the UK,
this
but
time of year.
There you go. So I don't know what to call this list. I've just called it Belakor versus Archaon because, like, I personally think they shouldn't really be in an army together. I haven't read the lore, but I'm pretty sure back in the day they didn't really like each other.
They both look evil. They're both demons. I don't see what you could possibly.
So
they look fantastic together.
I kind of
Mommy bear and daddy bear.
Hi, Dave. I kind of think the whole thing about this list is, they're trying to outdo each other, and they're like romping around the board together. Now, this list is kind of a bit crazy. So it's Archaon, Belakor, who's the general in the Legion of the First Prince, a Sloppity Bile Piper, a Keeper
Makes
of
sense
Secrets.
in a second.
Yeah, that will make sense
in a second.
3 units of 10 Plague Bearers. That's it.
Yeah.
So go on then, Byron, explain it. Explain it for the people.
All right. Okay, so you'll probably know some aspects of this better than me, actually. Basically, it is
I will correct
minimum
you.
core. That's fine. Sorry. And expected and imminent. Minimum core, but you don't want it crappy. And when you've got that little core, you'd probably like it to stick around a bit more. So Plague Bearers, only choice. They're a bargain at 110 each. This list did actually start out with 30, 10, 10. And then, if you're going to do something, do it properly. So it's 10, 10, 10 now. That is the only reason for the inclusion of the Sloppity Bile Piper. He's got an option for buffing Archaon or buffing the Plague Bearers. So buffing a Nurgle unit. Obviously, you have the ability to summon Nurgle units within this. You're only going to be able to summon them from Archaon or the Bile Piper. Is that correct, Russ? Because they have to summon their own keyword.
No, you can summon from any of the heroes. If you summon from Sloppity, it's Plague Bearers. If it's from Belakor, you get a choice. Even Archaon can summon, so they can all do it.
Perfect. All right then. So aside from the Keeper of Secrets, you could just have a Nurgle pool of models built up here, basically. Then, and then the rest of it is, Bellacor's there. He actually works as quite a good babysitter if you've got a model like Archaon, because you can just turn off the opponent's big thing that you're scared about, which is great. You can do that at any point now, as long as he hasn't died. That is a change. If he dies, you don't get to try it out. And then everything else is in there to make the most of
That's the
Archaon.
Fun police going for Byron if you wondered what the noise was.
It is. It's people telling me that my list writing doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it's the rest of it is all about the big guy. Now, tell me if and when I miss something out. So in this formation, you get access to a command ability that lets you make it so when something dies, it can still attack.
Yep. No, it's a spell actually.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay. A spell, and you're fucking. That's a spell. My God, that's so good.
The command ability is on Archaon's Raw Scroll. So.
Okay then, and then we've also got a Keeper of Secrets in there. Now, obviously, Archon has every single keyword in the entire Chaos book, so that means that you can use the Keeper's ability to let Archaon as a Header Knight, if it's the Header Knight Archaon, pile in and attack twice. You can still use the Bile Piper's abilities on Archaon. Because he's got every keyword
and demon keyword. So
remind me what those are again. Is it one extra rend?
Ooh, I need to get the Teclis book. I would have it on the screen, but it would require far too much preparation, and I haven't got enough screens. I need another monitor.
It's an issue of space, guys. We just wanted to keep things clear for everyone. So basically, this is all about getting the most out of Archaon, and he's probably going to survive if you got Belakor around. You're kicking out a pretty large amount of spells, considering how stupid it is, and all of these big guys can do some, a Keeper isn't to be sniffed at, Belakor isn't to be sniffed at, and Archaon attacking once and then twice if he dies, potentially, is absolutely not to be sniffed at. Is that correct?
Pretty much, and also you get the Bile Piper gets 3 things, just so while I was distracted. So add 1 to attacks. So Nurgle demon units wholly within 14. So that would count as Nurgle. Although this guy's quite slow, so it might be difficult to get there. But if he gets there, he gets there. But he's also good at protecting your plague bearers. And the other one is if the modified hit roll for an attack is a 6, it does 1 mortal wound in addition. And the other one is that any models within 3 of a Nurgle demon unit wholly within 14 cannot pile in closer to a model than they did at the start of the move, which is okay. I mean, it's quite good protection against Archon if he gets charged by like a horde or something and they don't quite make the charge.
But particularly if he's got someone brewing up next to him, that could even help protect your keeper or help protect Belakor if they're double teaming up next to him or something.
And because like it has to be Nurgle demons that get that benefit, but if you're within range of him, then you still get affected by it. So even the plague bearers, to be honest. So there is some stuff you can do with the reach and things like that to minimize damage coming back. And obviously in the Legion of the First Prince as well, like Belakor can reroll hit rolls while within 18 of any of the plague bearers. Also, if you allocate a wound to Belakor, then he can bounce the wounds to the plague bearers on a 4+. At the end of the battle shock phase, on a 3+, you can return D3 slain models to the plague bearers. That includes the summoned units as well that you can summon. And then your whole army has a 6+ bounce save, so that will affect the keeper as well as the slopper deals. So they all get it. There's also the artifact Armor of the Pact, which gives the keeper secrets a rerollable armor save.
Right.
So pretty good.
And you could, rather than Shining Aegis, you could go for
Sinistrous Hand. I went for
Sinistrous Hand. Yeah.
That's
why you've done it. Yeah.
You could go for the whip, but because you can whip something that Archeon or Bellacor's fighting. And the spell is, and each wizard knows this in addition, so they all know the spell. So it's on a 7. Pick 1 Legion of the First Prince unit wholly within 12. Until the end of the battle round, if a model from that unit is slain by a melee weapon, the unit can fight before it's removed. So that was the spell we were talking about. So all pretty juicy stuff. So the idea is that basically Belakor and Archeon and the Keeper are just a 3-man wrecking crew, basically.
Oh, completely. You're gonna, just imagine like what can really survive that easily. Archeon going in once, fighting again because the Keeper, then your opponent attacking with a unit that's possibly debuffed, possibly not, against split across several people, and then you have Belakor or the Keeper, and the Belakor or the Keeper, and then if they somehow kill Archeon, Archie again. It's just, what's going to live through that?
So Martin Furnival's asked, is it hi Martin?
Hey,
he said, is it worth swapping the Keeper of a Great Unclean One with the Bell?
Move.
I mean, it could be. I think without the run and charge from the tree, it's maybe not worth it. Because obviously you need to be Allegiance Maggotkin for that.
Yeah.
I don't know
you don't
if
get
Horticulus...
You don't get to plan it. Yeah, I was just going to ask.
Maybe Horticulus, because it's on his War Scroll, could drop a tree that you could use in this Legion. Because the rules on... I don't know if the tree rule is on the War Scroll for the Nulmore, or it's an Allegiance ability of Nurgle. So I'd have to check the Maggotkin book. But if the Nulmore War Scroll has that...
Yeah, so once per battle, start your hero phase, you can set up a feculent Nulmore.
So it's just what the Nulmore scroll says, basically. It could be a way to get Archeon to run and charge.
No, yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, so scenery rules.
Entropic Chimes.
Yeah, so you could...
In their charge phase, Nurgle units within 7 of any feculent Nulmores can attempt to charge, even if they ran in the same turn.
I think the issue is because Horticulus is 200 points?
A bit more, maybe.
You're going to struggle to get him in because basically you're going to have to drop Belakor. It kind of defeats the object.
Well, you could if you drop the Keeper, you could get it, but it feels like attacking twice is exciting.
Yeah, you could do, but then should you just be Nurgle with Belakor as an ally? I don't know, like for the wheel and everything else. So And see, I
Yeah.
think if you're using Legion of the First Prince, you really should have the First Prince. Maybe it's just me, but
No, that's cool. That makes sense. I mean, to be fair, this is a with a starting point this zany, you could take this, and because 800 points is Archeon and he can be anything in Chaos almost, you can take this in so many different directions with a nip, a duck, and a tweak. Like the all Slanesh version of this list is not bad in my opinion,
no.
at all. Actually, drop out Sloppity, Belakor, Archeon, Demonettes, and then you just get a small amount of points to play with, which you probably beef up one of your initial units with, or maybe.
There any of the core demons less than 110 points? Are they all that a plus?
Demonettes are 100, I believe. I can double check that.
That could give you 30 points, but I don't know what you do with it really.
Well, 30 points plus a Sloppity, so you end up with 180. Demonettes are 110 for no good reason. They are.
Taras are definitely more expensive, right? So we can. I think that's the cheapest battle line you're going to get.
Oh, well, you can do warriors in. If you are all about the heroes, you can go 90.
But that doesn't work in Legion because they're not demons.
So
it only works in if you went Maggot King or Slaves, but then it's kind of a different army. But I think it's quite cool because it's really leaning into Archeon, which seems like an antithesis for the theme of Belakor, but it's quite funny in the same way.
How good would this look as well? Let's real talk, guys. Yeah. Like, how outstanding would this army look on any table? Like, one of the best models that's come out in recent times, Archeon, baby Archeon. I'm sure Belakor would love to be referred to in that manner. And then Keeper, also, again, like one of the best models ever. Spoilpox Scrivener, great. Plague Bearers, great. Like, it's just, everything is great. And it's great at 3 different levels.
I mean, like, not a lot. There's not a lot to. I mean, you could have some beautiful centerpieces.
34 models, 34 models, 7 drops, which of course would be.
You're going to end up playing this, aren't you? You're going to end up having it at least.
I've got that in the house, apart from Belakor. Yeah, but
that doesn't mean anything. You've got like a stock cupboard. So your cupboard of shame is impressive.
Yeah.
So I thought I was bad. I'm trying to catch up. Yeah. So that was our first list. If you like it, let us know.
They're only getting more sensible from here on out.
You haven't seen mine yet.
Really? All right.
No, they are getting sensible. I'm sorry. I'm boring.
The next one mine or yours?
It's Slanesh Shenanigans list, which is your Lurid Haze, Archeon, Belakor army. So,
okay, so it's not getting more sensible. Let's go.
No, so we thought we'd go back to. So this is your list with Archeon, Belakor as an ally, a keeper, and I've made him. I've done it in Lurid Haze, and I've made him the general and gave him the trait and the artifact for the extra wound and reroll run rolls. 2 knits of Bliss Barbs and 5 Hell Striders with Hell Scourges. And that's it.
Yeah.
So small.
I mean, just anyone tell me what about this army doesn't scream the most fun you've ever seen in your life?
Yeah.
So look at that.
So what does so Archeon in Slanesh then? Is that just because you want depravity, or what was the thinking of Slanesh? Is it just that because obviously it's very similar to the other list, other than the core's different, and there's no.
It's a big factor. Now that I'm well aware that you only have 2 Slanesh heroes in this. They are more survivable than a typical Slanesh hero, being Archeon on 20 wounds with his 3-up save. Let's not forget as well, the command trait in Lurid Haze is +1 armor save to a unit within 12.
Yeah, I think it is a command ability for an armor save.
Yeah. So I mean, Archeon, he can really go pretty tough. Bellacor's still there, more Archeon protection, and Belakor now with a 14-inch move can keep up with a keeper and the rest of the army a little bit better. Not only that, I'll touch on the host in a second. 2 times, I had a bit of a moan about this when I was writing the list. I really wish that Seekers were
me too.
Were battle line. It feels odd that they're not. They're ridden by Demonettes. Demonettes are battle line. It's meant to be a fast army, and then there's other. It's not like there's a concept of there
too many boobs to be battle line. That's it.
Well, maybe, but it's not like there's a concept of cavalry not being.
They were battle line in the last book, so it is a bit bizarre. Yeah.
So it feels like an oversight. If they weren't, I would have a different list than this. They aren't battle lines, so you have to have, I believe, 2 shooting units to be making the most out of depravity from an early turn, which, as we've covered in some previous Lanesh shows, is a really big deal. You need to start ticking that clock up early. And then Hellstriders with Hell Scourges, because they're great. And so they're just there as the minimum. And then basically you are going out for the all-out Slanesh show, where you place your scenery piece. Remember that even if you do somehow get Archons surrounded and lose your keeper, you can still summon units from your scenery piece. So it's not like the game is over at that point, but you are just ploughing into someone and then trying to, really, really get back your small army by just pooping out units wherever. And I genuinely would be summoning demonettes quite regularly with this, I think, because you don't start with much on the table.
Just on the off chance you can ambush Archeon with a Keeper of Secrets, is that what?
Oh, well, okay, so Lurid...
Is this base smaller than 6 inches? Can you fit?
Whoa.
Don't know. Is it big enough?
That's a consideration.
Yeah.
That is a consideration. Anyway, Lurid Haze is overall ability is, after deployment, you rolled a d3, and however many you get on that dice roll, that's how many units get to ambush before the game has started. This is a 6-drop army, which without a formation is as low as you are going to get pretty much ever.
And is the number of Slanesh.
I wasn't aware of that until you guys educated me earlier. I don't know about these things, but it's been calculated to within a T of...
Was the last one 7 drops, just coincidentally?
Yeah, it was. I know.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it?
Number of Nurgle. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
There we go. So that's the idea behind that list. You've got Archeon going in, attacking twice. You've got a Keeper. The command ability that comes with Lurid Haze of being able to give a hero +1 save, that goes so well in this army. Obviously, you can't give it to Belakor because of his innate ability, but for either the Keeper or Archeon is absolutely insane. Especially on Archeon, it's insane. He's got an after save anyway. He's got 20 wounds. He eats wounds back. And with a Keeper, if you kill a model, shouldn't be too hard, or a hero, that can be engineered. You can get D3 or D6 wounds back to a Slanesh model within a certain range. I can't quite...
It's just from the hand, you mean?
Yeah, it's the hand.
I think it's just himself. I didn't think he could do it to somebody else. Am I wrong on that? That might have changed.
Okay. Oh, no, that's him, and then you can choose the spell. That's it.
The spell, yeah. So which is Born of Damnation, or there's one which is only Greater Demons, which I think... Is it Slanesh Demons? That would work on Archeon then. That's D6 heal.
Oh, it would actually, yeah, because I normally take the other one because... Okay, so you get D6 wounds back.
Yo, Carl. Mullatron made a good point about the last list, that dropping the Spile Sloppity for an allied Chaos Sorcerer and the Doom Sigil Ender spell. But the only issue I've got with that, I don't think they can have allies because they don't have an allies table, unless I was mistaken. I didn't see it in the book because they don't really have a chart, do they?
It's the type of thing that could have just been...
It's kind of like a bit weird because it's like they're like an allegiance but not an allegiance. Like a host but without an allegiance. Is very bizarre. Maybe I'm wrong. I just turned us out.
Yeah, guys, do feel free to correct us.
Let me have a quick look, see if I can see it. Let's do a quick look. You follow me along at home, people, with my scrolling. So
just gonna read out.
So in the pitch battle, there's no... Yeah, it just says Belakor. There's no allegiance box that would have an allies. So I don't think they can have allies, which is weird. You'd expect that slaves would be an ally for that army, but it looks like they can't because they're not a slaves and allegiance. They're just their own allegiance. They're a chaos allegiance. I don't really know. It's a bit bizarre.
We'll find out.
It's very
just
weird.
To clarify that, healing spell, Progeny of Damnation, casting value of 5. Pick a demon Hedonite hero within 6. You can heal up to D3 wounds if the customer rolls a 10 plus D6, and then that's Greater Demons only. And then there's somewhere there is another heal, which is
that's the
restricted.
Other spell that you can take if you're not a greater. You could take it on a keeper anyway, and that's Born of Damnation, which is D3 to any hero, I believe, any Slanesh hero.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's the 6th choice.
So,
but I don't think either of those two lists. I think you'd look at them and you'd discount them on paper, and then you'd face them, and they wouldn't be as, I think they do a fair bit more than anyone would consider. Archeon's scary, and Archeon backed up by 2 must deal with threats. That's hard. Some armies just can't deal with. A lot of the time, you'll have an army that's very well honed and it's good at killing stuff. And if you get it to over-saturation point of what it can deal with in a turn, or if you go first and have a chance of getting in there, or you can increase your move or anything like that, you really can do quite a lot to scare people. And some people just can't deal with Archeon on a 2+ save.
No,
that's another thing, right?
I did think about we've hit 2,000 subs. Thanks everyone. Yeah.
Oh, amazing! Thank you so much.
So I did think that Pretenders might be another option because of the ignore the first 2 wounds. Obviously, command points are going to be a bit tight because obviously you want a command point for the keeper to do the pile-in. Archeon wants it to fight again. You don't really have a way of generating them, and you don't start with any. So it's one of those things. I think you just have to be patient with it, and just pick your spending. You don't have to spend command points to be effective.
Drop 5 Hellstriders for 5 Chaos Warriors. You would gain 60 points, 1930, and then you could take a spell. Oh man, you're so close to getting cogs in.
You kind of want it, right?
Oh, you do. Actually, I do that. Bliss Barbs, Hellstriders with Hellscourges, 5 Chaos Warriors, cogs. That is a
70
power.
Points. If you drop 11 Bliss Barbs, that gives you 70, and then you drop the Hellstriders down to spears, so 140 gives you 80, which is what you need for cogs.
No, it's already 1990.
Oh, yeah, it's 1990. Yeah, you don't need to.
You're just good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, well spotted, Batman.
So good. That's that is a list. That is the most Byron list available from.
I think if it doesn't have cogs in it, it's not a Byron list. So.
Yeah. So that in Lurid Haze would be absolute money.
I do
pelt at someone.
I do think that first list is actually very good. I totally agree with Mullatron. If you could put a Chaos Sorcerer Lord in there, it would be pretty much perfect. We
went through this conversation when we were crafting,
and I think we just stayed clear of that because it wasn't clear. Maybe it'll get FAQ'd. I might ask the guys in the chat because as being a playtester, we'll get the draft FAQ and we get a chance to kind of give some feedback. So if it isn't in there, I'll probably wait and then just say, look, what's going on with the allies because they don't have any.
I'm sure other people will
ask. So yeah, it doesn't seem right. They did. I mean, slaves should be allies, I believe. I guess they just don't want mortals in the army, maybe, apart from Archeon. But he's a demon as well, so it's fine. I don't know. He's a bit strange.
So anyway, there's my first 2 thematically numbered lists because I am Byron, Master of Fluff.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go into my list, which is Russ's STD. That's Slaves to Darkness, not a disease.
Are you saving Nighthaunt for last because you love them so much?
I thought we were on Belakor. Let's stay on Belakor. Right,
okay.
Stay on target. I've got 2 Nighthaunt lists. I think the last Nighthaunt list is particularly competitive in my head, but I might be wrong.
Okay.
But Nighthaunt's coming. So STDs. So it's the spoilers. I've got myself a Slaves of Darkness Demon Prince, who's the general, Mark Korn, who has the Paragon of Ruin command trait, which allows D3 units to move 5 inches before the game. A Chaos Sorcerer Lord twice, because he's that good. One of them, they're both Mark of Zinch, and one of, I know, Korn and Zinch, but anyway. Then he's got the Diabolic Mantle, which allows him to generate D3 command points at the start of the battle round if he's on the table. So that just always happens. The Lord of Change is Belakor, so ignore the fact it says Lord of Change. And then it's 3 units of 5 Chaos Knights, all Khorne with ensorcelled weapons. You can chuck Lancers in to taste. It's up to you. And then 15 Chaos Warriors, hand weapon and shield, mark a Khorne again. 2 units of Untamed Beasts for the pre-game move to basically block, and you can double their move with the Despoiler move to go 11 inches. So you can really push your deployment zone out and early contest some objectives early. 3 Varangard, just because I think they're cool. And it'd be nice to have a different sized thing, and they get to fight twice, which is quite nice. And this is 1980 points, so it's
nice. Good chance for triumph.
Yeah, and the thing is, it seems it's 140 wounds. Everything's got, like, the Chaos Warriors get to reroll armor saves. Everything's got basically a 4-up, 3-up save. It's pretty, apart from the Untamed Beast, we don't care about those. It's pretty solid. You've got all the rules with Despoilers, and because Belakor is a demon prince, he benefits on it. So let me just refresh my memory. I've got a pile of books here. I've got
Russ, does everything in there have a 5-up mortal wound save, basically? Do the knights have it as well, or is it just the warriors?
Yeah, the knights have it, and the warriors have it. I've played a game actually against Carl, who's in the chat. Hi Carl. With this list, but actually what it used to have is a Karkadrak and Belakor, but it was the old Belakor. And he was playing OBR, and he had a real shock with how resilient it was, just in terms of defense.
The grind.
But only had one sorcerer in that. This has got 2 for the Oracular Visions to give the knights a rerollable save. There's 2 knights, and knights can get rerollables. And
effective wounds. This is nearly double the previous list we were talking about, and every single wound in this list is more resilient, pretty much.
And you can cast Demonic Power on Belakor to give him reroll hits, wounds, and armor saves. So he becomes an absolute beatstick. And the thing that I was, excuse me, what I was checking is that in Despoilers, so friendly units, basically with the same mark of chaos, affected by the Nurgle Holy of an 18, so you get that, and obviously Mark of Khorne does a thing, but actually a Despoilers Demon Prince, that is a general on a 5-up, the wound or mortal wound is negated. So
that's just been mentioned in the chat by Molitron.
So you could actually give that to, you could make Belakor your general and get rid of the trait, because you've got Untamed Beast anyway, so you go, well, actually I don't care about the Khorne Demon Prince being my general. You've also got Blessed by the Unholy, so in your hero phase, roll a dice for each Demon Prince. On a 4+ heal D3 wounds, so you can heal. That affects Belakor as well.
Nice.
You also get the Twisted Dominion rules, so you can basically turn. You can basically use Pitch Black and Nightmare Chasm rules, so you can make them block line of sight. And the other one is that roll a dice at the start of each hero phase. Roll a dice for the terrain feature on a 6. Each unit within 1 takes D3 mortal wounds, so you can kind of like turn terrain into hostile environment, block line of sight, and stuff like that.
Demonic Power only works on mortal slaves to darkness.
It works on the knights and the Varangard and the warriors, so it's still good.
But still plenty to go up.
It must be. I'll get in the old rules when it was just chaos unit, I think. But well, they changed it. There's about too many editions of rules in my head. One's difficult to do it on the fly, but thanks for the correction. I appreciate that.
So it's a tough looking army.
Yeah, it's good. And obviously, like the Khorne Demon Prince, you get the anti-charge aura. So when someone wants to charge, they basically reduce their distance. So it's let me just double check it. Bloodstick Ground. Use the command ability in your hero phase if there's more of the Khorne keyword. Until a next hero phase, run and charge rolls made by enemy units within 18 are halved. So
good.
Yeah, it's very good for protection against like the turn and stuff like that. Yeah, it does, Molitron, I know. So there's some good stuff in there. Obviously, you can change stuff around, but I found the knights just super good. They're super resilient. They stick around.
Just looking at the points and the amount of wounds that knights have, they are great. Really good value.
Yeah, they're really good value.
3 wounds each.
Yeah. So
basically a tiny bit over 10 points. Tiny bit over 10 points a wound, which is average, and so many of those units have like a 5-up or a 6-up, and then not enough to save.
And a 5-up more. I know people will be telling me that I should just have Marauders because they're better, but I just don't like them. So I do go with the Armored Warriors because I like the aesthetic of them.
They're also faster. They're going to keep up with Archeon better. They offer you some stuff, and you've got loads of warriors there if you want slow dudes.
Yeah, I think you could. I don't know. I think 20 Marauders. I'm not sure how many points they are, but you could swap out the 5 of the knights for 20 Marauders. I don't know if they're
have a bit more diversity there if you want some unarmored dudes.
You've got the spell, so you can teleport with the spell. You've got you got some really good spells. Like they are just very, very good. I mean, I know you're a bit command point starved. You kind of don't start with any, but you can play patient. You don't need to. It's always, if they give you the first turn, it's fine. You could just, because you can wait for them to try and double you and then counter, and then you're going to have a couple command points for the crucial turn. So,
what do you think about Martin's idea of dropping warriors and putting a war shrine in there?
It's okay. The problem with the war shrine, I just kind of feel like you got to roll a 3-up for it to do its thing, right? I believe. I would just double check the rules.
It's not a 2-up. That's very different.
It's not automatic, which would be nice, but
yeah,
it's kind of.
Was that?
It's kind of like, it's okay. I mean, you can do what you want.
Get on the Vanguard
if you want to. Now I'm struggling to actually find the bloody war scroll. Chaos War Shrine. There we go. So roll dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound. So most of the army's got a mortal wound save and a decent armor save, so I don't think it's as good as if you were running like Marauders. It would be more useful. So you get a 6-up bounce basically, and it's mortal only, so it wouldn't affect your demons. And then favor the ruinous powers. Pick one immortal slaves to darkness. You roll dice or based on a 3 to answer the prayer. Corn is you could reroll hit rolls until the next phase, but I think you get that anyway from your general, which, let me just double check that.
Vanguard immortals, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Or
of Corn, reroll hit rolls of 1 within 12. In addition, if this model is the general, add 1 to wound rolls. So reroll and add 1 to wound. So with the spoilers, it's an 18-inch bubble of rerolling 1s to hit and plus 1 to wound. Plus you can get rerolls with demonic power, so I don't know. I just don't think the war shrine is.
You start with more bodies on the table as well.
Yeah, I mean,
got a value.
If you want to use the model, it's not a bad option. It's just like it's like I say, it's to taste. I just for me it was like just more bodies, more wounds, more objective control. Yeah, it does, Sean. So that's why I've got the Diabolic Mantle, but it's just that so it's not too bad for command points, but it's just that you can burn through them very quickly because obviously you're burning 1 a turn on the Demon Prince, and then if you want to be using them for like reroll charges and stuff like that, it is like, I mean, you do start off with a hefty amount, I suppose, but it's but
it's such a different army to play when you know that you're going to use that one pretty much every turn. I've played with armies like that, and it feels so different to like I'm waiting, right, 4 at once or whatever.
Yeah, I think for me, like the army itself, and this is why I liked it. It was a very all-round army. Like you had decent units, resilient units. You had some combat power. You had a screen, so you could protect against a turn. You had command points. You got decent magic phase. The only thing that was like lacking was the damage when I played it without the new Belakor. But now Belakor is like a super damaging monster. People would tell me he's not, but I think he's a lot better in terms of damage output. So actually, I actually think now it gives the army something they didn't have. And although I've dropped the Karkadrak, who was quite a punchy character, he kind of like does that role. Losing the Knights of Chaos command ability is quite a big deal if you're running lots of knights. I mean, you could put one of the 5 knights into a 10, because if you wanted to demonic power them, that's a bit more scary, and you could use lances. But I just think like 3 5s are grindy, and you just want board control really. And your Vanguard,
it's not like you're aiming for low drops here, is it? With your 10 drop army,
you just don't care. You just don't care because of the pre-game move from the Untamed Beast and the Paragon of Ruin. So you just don't care that you go second, or they get to choose. You just fine, whatever. It doesn't matter. So.
For sure. Serious consideration with this army. Everything in that army, apart from the Untamed Beasts, is fun and fast to paint. So if you did want to get something on the table looking like absolutely respectable and fine, that is an incredible army for it. Super forgiving, and it'd probably look pretty awesome too.
Yeah, that's good. The good one, Militron, is that when I wrote this list originally, it was you can just do stuff to taste. So like you say, if you want to put like Flamers in, or you'll put 6 Fiends in as allies, you can just basically manipulate the core, or change the Vanguard out, and then you get some points, and then you know, you can tailor to suit. So it's a very good point, and that's why I quite like the slaves. This is a base, and most of my slaves army starts with 15 warriors, 2 units of 5 knights, and that's my battle line. Always has a sorcerer lord, always has a Khorne demon prince, and then it goes around whatever that is. And I generally use Khorne just because that 18-inch half run and charge is so powerful. I just can't really like see past it. It just really does stop someone being able to teleport next to you and charge you, because you can't roll a 9 on 2d6 halving it, and it being an 18-inch bubble is pretty big. So he's kind of key to keep alive. So that was my STD list, updated with the new Belakor.
That is very sensible, Russ. I don't know if I'm pleased or displeased about how sensible that list is.
We're getting spooky now, guys. Okay, we're going into
okay.
So I've written 2 lists. So I thought I would write a Alinda's Coven, which is my sort of name for an Emerald Host list. Martin, the Lord of Changes Belakor. It's just that I just use it as a placeholder. I just forgot to update the writing when I copy and pasted out War Scroll Builder. So Lady Alinda, she's got Life Stealer, which allows you to steal.
It's already a serious army. Look at all those denotations below the units.
She is in the Saruman Choir, so she's your general, but not your general. so which means that you use her command ability. You've got the Dreadblade Harrow, who's your actual general, and he's got the Lord of the Host command trait. Doesn't do anything because he doesn't have a command ability on his War Scroll. You're using the Dreadblade Harrow because he fits the Death Rider formation. You've got a Guardian of Souls with Nightmare Lantern because it's basically you have to, because it's really good. And he's got Shade Mist as a spell, which is the sort of protection spell that you can cast wholly within 12, which I think is -1 to wound, I think. And he's got the Light Shard of the Harvest Moon, which is the once per game. You get to reroll hit rolls for everything wholly within 12, and obviously he gets the wound buff if you're wholly within 12, and he does the healing, so he's quite important. The Dreadblade Harrow obviously can do if he's your general, he can teleport, then he can use the Spectral Lore as well. Lady Alinda can also use Spectral Lore because she's also your general, so you can like teleport your army around the table quite effectively. He's got Pendant of the Fell Wind, which gives all Nighthaunt units a 3-inch move within a certain radius. You can look up what they do exactly. I've got the Cruelgrass Cruciator in as the new model because I thought, why not? He's also got an artifact.
Not bad either, is he?
No, he's good. He's good. And because in the Emerald Host, the first Knight of Shrouds has to have a special sword. I don't have a Knight of Shrouds, so I can take what I want. So I've taken the Midnight Tome, makes him a wizard, and gives him the Spectral Tether spell, which allows him to heal other Nighthaunt heroes.
Cool.
So he can shoot, and he also... So the idea is you've got 20 Chain Rasps, and him and the Guardian kind of bunker in there, and that gives him a 5-up death save, and you should Shade Mist them, and they're kind of fast, and they kind of sit on objective. You've got you've got the Death Rider formation, so you've got a Black Coach, 2 units of 10 Hex Race, and the Dreadblade Harrow is in 1 formation. And then you've got 2 units of Miremorn Banshees, the Dreadscythe Harridans, who've actually gone up in points for some bizarre reason, and Lady Alinda in the Saruman Choir. So the army is a 2, 3, 4, 5 drop.
Fine, okay.
So quite low for a Nighthaunt army. Death Riders means that if you roll a 9 to charge, you get to use your Nighthaunt fight straight away, which is cool. So you've got the, got that, which is cool. The Saruman Choir, which allows you to bounce wounds off Alinda onto the Miremorns and the Harridans. But in the Emerald Host, you can also bounce wounds to the Hex Wraiths. Now, the Hex Wraiths in the Emerald Host get +1 attack on the charge. So, because they're in the Death Riders, they get their... I thought that was weird because I just wrote the chat, but it was you. That really confused me. Because the Emerald Host, they get their +1 attack, but the Death Riders means that you come up 9 away using your Spirit Realms rule. If you roll a 9, you get to fight rather than on a natural 10, and when they fight, they get an extra attack because they've charged, and then they can fight. So it's quite good. I mean, like I don't know. I think it's a solid list. you've got the 2 banshees, so obviously you've got some unbind in there, and they're quite nasty on the charge with their damage.
Yeah, they're not bad at all. They're the type of thing you can't. They crumple, but they garner quite a lot of attention. And if you somehow manage to sneak them in, they can really, really screw with people's game.
Yeah, and let's not forget that we've got Lady Alinda, right? So,
yeah,
and she's got a 2-up bounce save to pretty much the whole army.
What role do you see the Black Coach playing in this type of list?
The Black Coach is it returns models, right? And I would use it as a you can
wall?
bounce. Well, yeah, basically. So you use it as a denial of board space around your key stuff, but also like if you bounce wounds onto the Harrodins, and then obviously Alinda can use her command ability to heal, but you can also heal from the Black Coach. So like you can, if you've got like your Myrmorn Banshees and Harrodins, you can kind of like pin one model out of each unit. Then Alinda's will replace all those, but the coach can do D3, so you can literally like. She can take a lot of damage, bounce it, and then you're regrowing it. And what I find the Black Coach is when it gets powered up, when it charges, it does mortal wounds, it gets retreating charge, it can fly. It's really good at just going and killing stuff that you're like, I want to go kill that unit over there. It's in the way. It's pissing me off. And I'll just go kill it.
10 skeletons.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever it is.
10 witch elves, whatever it is. Yeah.
It's a really good way as well. So I know there's a lot of like this Luminef stuff going on that you're like, oh, Severith can move in the charge. I think it's in the charge phase, or in one of the phases he can move 12 inches or whatever it is to move out the way or enter the shooting phase, whatever. But like, what's quite nice about Nighthorn, I believe it's in the charge phase. If it is, I believe you can get around it by charging him with Nighthorn. No, that can't be right. I have to check now. In my head, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, with Spectral Law and your teleport from the Harrow, because he can teleport, then pull a unit to him, you can wrap up the board space around him if you really want to catch him. I mean, if you really want to.
I mean, just having that degree of flexibility and specific control over where you are, and you've got multiple options for it, so you've got redundancy as well, is pretty good. Anyone who's not played Nighthorn themselves or not played against them for ages, you might have forgotten that if they get a natural charge roll of a 10, they get to fight in the charge phase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
that's a big deal.
I'm just going to double check when he moves it. And I think it might be the end of the shooting phase. I can't remember.
Go for it. Also, guys, the Cruciator.
At the end of the shooting phase, so you can't stop him moving around, but you can shut the table down.
Absolutely.
But what's quite nice about what's quite nice about having the Hex Race, so what you could do is like use a Harrow, pull the Hex Race to him, do the charge, then the next turn you can pull them back to where Alinda is and where the Black Coach is, and then you can wait and heal the models back up. So you can basically use it like the Harrow teleports with the unit, they charge, they do the damage, then the next turn they get pulled back to Alinda, and the Harrow can teleport anyway, so he could teleport somewhere else. Then you could pull another unit across that you want to be aggressive with. So
it's like a concertina
it gives you
across
like
the table.
I mean, it costs command points, so it's not free. I mean, you start with 2 extra, so you could do. I think there's a potential that you might get a turn where you're like, if I go here, then use a command ability, then pull something back here, and then like you're able to basically do so much movement manipulation. I think it's really strong, and obviously the Myrmorns get bonuses to unbind, and I know it's only 18-inch range, but they're still like Ren 2 and D3 damage, and if they unbind a spell, they get bonuses. Alinda is just a mortal wound platform, so like you've still got
5 times more resilient than she's ever been.
She's
not
like
forget that, guys.
Ridiculously way more resilient. You've got Healer from Spectral Tether from the Cruciator. I just think Militar, I think that's might be FAQ to that. I'm pretty sure. I mean, obviously I know that people, a big popular choice is an allied vampire for the healing and all and this command ability, but I'm not sure Obviously, we know Soulblight Gravelord's around the corner, so I don't know what's happening with that. So I didn't want to put him in, and also I kind of wanted to keep it in Nighthaunt, and this fit quite nicely. And I wanted to use the new Cruciator, so you know, it was kind of there. What was I talking about? Alinda, right? So Alinda, I think obviously she's obviously got a once per battle in your hero phase, you can either inflict D6 mortals on an enemy hero within 6 or heal D6. So that's the Grave Sands. She's got Lift in the Veil, start your hero phase, pick an enemy unit within 12 of the model. On a 1, nothing happens. On 2+, they take a number of mortal wounds equal to the roll. In addition, if any enemy models were slain, immediately heal D3 wounds. You get to add 1 to the number of models that flee, or whatever. Start the shooting phase, roll 2d6 for each enemy unit within 10. If the roll is higher than the bravery, they take D3 mortals. She's a wizard.
Just a suicide bomber.
Cast 2 spells. She has Grace Stricken, which is on a 7. Pick an enemy unit within 18. To a next hero phase, subtract 1 from hit rolls and add 1 to hit rolls for attacks with melee weapons that target them. So That's quite good.
That's an insane spell.
And then the command ability is in your hero phase. If it's your general, well, it is because you're using the Emerald Host. You can then return 1 slain model to each summonable Nighthaunt unit within 12. So you basically get to add a model back into all the units. So there is
utility.
It's the fact that she can now be protected like very easily, and you've got ways to heal. And you've got
like 40 wounds worth of X-ray.
And the Saruman Choir is such a good formation. I just honestly think it's great. Would I take John Dale? Hi, John. Nice to see you. Would you take the Black Coach if it wasn't part of a battalion? Yes, I do rate it. I think the only reason I didn't take it in the past is because points were tight. Now, the reason I rate it is because it does nothing. There's just nothing else in the army does. Like, it's I just think its ability to reach out and kill stuff across the table.
It just becomes a flexible battering ram, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gets particularly quick, and when it charges, it does mortal wounds, and it can retreat and charge. So it becomes extremely good at mopping up at the end of the game. So obviously you've got you can heal D3 models. Once it powers up, so you roll a dice on a 4+, it gets powered up. So you roll 3 dice. So by turn 3 or 4, you're normally there. The first one is basically D3 wounds, add it, heal onto that model. In addition, start the hero phase, pick a summonable unit wholly within 12, return D3 models. Then you've got Vigor, reroll hit rolls of 1 with melee weapons. It can run and charge, and it's a movement of 14, so it's pretty good. Then Scythes, pick an enemy unit within 1, and roll on a 2+, to take D3 mortals when it charges, so it does mortal impact hits. Then 4th level, retreat and charge, and 5th level, in your hero phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3. On a 4+, they take D3 mortal wounds. So, and the guy on back, you know, he's got a shoot attack with -3 rend D3 damage. If you give him the Soul Reach Grasp, you know, still pretty decent damage. I just personally think you don't have anything like that you have access to, and I just like a big model in the army. It's nice to have a centerpiece.
I joked about a wall as well. Like, if you need to get in the way, he gets in the way pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he blocks board space, and then you have to hit the Black Coach. And the Black Coach, obviously, being 12 wounds ethereal, is not, and it heals itself, is
so
pretty
frustrating
good.
Fighting things like that. If you don't kill it and you leave it on 2 wounds, you've basically wasted probably, you know, like, you have to put twice as many attacks into it as you want, and you wasted all of those, and it just feels so bad.
Yeah, I mean, is it overcosted? Yes, it is, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, yeah. I just like it, and I think because the Death Riders formation is so good, especially in this Emerald Host, because it's leaning into Alinda, it's leaning into the buff of getting. Let me just double check it. I think it's getting +1 attack on the charge. See what else they get. So
that was going to be my first question: is if you if you dropped that, what could you do with 160 points, and is it worth it?
Oh, what's quite nice about this actually, it says in addition, roll a dice before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to your general, so you get to bounce wounds off of the other hero you pick as your general, which is the Dreadblade Harrow. so he
Cool.
can bounce as well to Hex Race.
It's going to be so resilient.
That's basically all it does. +1 attack, and you can bounce from your generals. Then, after armies are set up before the first battle round, pick an enemy hero for the duration of the battle, subtract 1 from their save. So
That
again, that's
is
like
solid. What if
solid.
someone turned up with Archeon, or even just, whatever it is, like something that costs 300 points? You're going to feel bad about that, aren't you?
Oh, any key piece really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's with the ability to teleport and spectrally charge, because you can be patient with that.
Got
So
a few high rend attacks as well. You could basically get something to, something that was super resilient,
particularly the Maya ones, if they go in,
yeah,
and
like a
they're
5 up or a
boosted.
6 up save, or no save on elite infantry. That's going to feel good. Sorry, heroes only, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
it's good. But I mean, I think what it's added is pretty big for the army. I generally, I was writing lists and I was getting quite excited. Now that's that list. So the next list, obviously in Belakor, there's also the Reikener Condemned. So I've got the Chain Gang. So I've got another list. So this list it's 156 wounds. Cue the groaning. It does have 110 Chain Rasp Horde in it, so you might not want to paint it, but it's pretty good. So it's Reikener.
Spirit hosts.
Well, no, there's a reason they're Chain Rasp Horde, right? So you got Reikener the Grim Hailer, Spirit of Torment, because I've got the Chain Guard and he's in the, he's oh no, he's not in this one, but I've got Spirit of Torment because he's awesome. The Guardian of Souls with Nightmare Lantern, the Cruciator because you can get the 5 up death save. I've got I'll go for the artifacts in a minute. 2 units of 10 Blade Geist Revenants because they're your combat power basically. 2 Chain Gas because they're in a formation. So I've got the Shroud Guard, which is the 2 Blade Gas and Reikener. Then I've got the Chain Guard, which is 2 units of Chain Rasp Hordes and the Guardian of Souls with Nightmare Lantern. Now, what this does, so this is quite complex, but let's just go through it step by step. So, I'll try and get this wrong, so I'll try not to mess this up as well. Let me go to this. So, Reikener's Condemned. Okay, so you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by Chain Rasp Horde. Forget about the Glaive Wraith Stalkers, while they're wholly within 15 of a Spirit of Torment or Chain Gas. So all your Chain Rasp Hordes are rerolling to hit rather than just rerolling ones to hit, which is the buff. Now, Blade Geist Revenants get that anyway, so you're pretty much your whole army is rerolling to hit as long as they're wholly within 15 of either your Spirit of Torment or your Chain Rasp, Chain Gasts. You also have Reikener is your general, but he's your general, but not your general, so that's good. I've made a mistake because I have to take the Corpse Candle, but that's fine. So you got Death Comes Swiftly. So use this command ability to start your movement phase. If you do, pick a Reikener's Condemned Chain Rasp Horde. We'll forget about the others. And you get to add 6 inches to the move. So that allows your Chain Rasp to be movement 12. So you can get rerolls, and then the Cruciator allows you to get a 5 up save on there. Now the Corpse Candle. Now I will change this because obviously I forgot I have to include that because I was cheating. So I would probably change the Pendant of the Fell Wind over onto the Spirit of Torment, and then I would change the Cruciator out with the Candle, and the Candle I think, if I just double check this, would work with the shooting attack, maybe? No, combat phase. But you can snuff the Candle out, so you might want to put it on Spirit of Torment instead, but you swap it around per taste. And then you can do a Mortal Wound to an enemy model within 12, and then you get to reroll hit rolls. If you're on a caster, you could use it to get bonus to cast, so you might want to put it on the Guardian Souls, but the reason I've got the Lantern is because in this army, you get a very, very nice buff, which is you basically get to add a lot of models in on a cast of healing from the Spectral Lore. So it says in here that each time a Reikener's Condemned Chain Rasp Horde unit is affected by Spectral Lore, you can return D6 models to that unit in addition. So the Spectral Lord does D6. You get another D6 because you're in Reichener's Condemned. And the artifact that he's got gives you an extra D3. And the formation gives you another D6. So you get 3d6 plus d3 models back into the chain rasp. 4.
3 to 21 models back.
No, more than that, because it's d6, 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 d3.
Yeah, 6, 6, 6, 18.
Yeah, so 4 minimum.
Yeah, so
yeah.
So 4 to 21 back.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that'll do.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit silly, but I thought it was kind of nice to lean into that because you could basically regenerate a unit, and if they've got a 5-up death save and they reroll to hit, they would just grind very well on objectives. Yeah, I think so.
It's nice because it's powerful, but the normal thing that Nighthorn armies, you're like, well, what if it comes up against Mortal Wounds? You have some answers for that, and you've just got so many dudes that is like a second answer for that in addition. So not only do you have like a 5-up save, you've got a million models. So, and they're going to come back faster than normal.
Yeah. Oh, Martin, if you want to see a good list with Spirit Host, we did a list tech show in Nighthorn, and I did a Spirit Host focus list, so you could check that out. So they're not. I've got 24 Spirit Hosts. Don't worry, they're still good. I just this is a bit like, obviously like the fact that the chain rasps, you've got 110 bodies, and you can basically put up to 21 models back into a unit. If they're in that formation, which would be the 240s, the 30 you'd get less models, but you'd still get a decent amount. Obviously, they could just unbind the spell, but it kind of makes that an absolute must stop, right? So it's pretty good. I should probably switch over to the PDF so people can see the list again. Multitasking. Oh, you actually still want to see us. That's good. So the in this, obviously, the Pendant and the Fell Wind is the extra move. The Beacon and Nagash Shazar is the extra heal. Spectral Tether is the heal with the Midnight Tomb, and you can actually have the command trait rule of the Spirit Host, which allows you to add D3 models back into a summonable unit. So you get that as well. You've obviously got Reichener, and he's cool, and he's in the formation with the Bladeghast. So the formation is the Bladeghast and Reichener, and then you've got the Guardian of Souls and the Students of Chain Rasps, and then you've got 1, 2, 3 more, so it's against a 5-drop. 5-drop, 2 command points, 3 artifacts. I just think it's solid. It's really good in objective play. It's not going to do an awful lot of damage, but you've got your Bladeghast for hunting.
Well, I don't know. If you come against someone who's not heavily armored, like you do have most of your hits are going to hit for the entire army, and if they don't have a 4-up save or something like that, or a 3-up save, there's going to be quite a lot of attacks there from something that keeps coming back. So I reckon it'll have more with the like mid-range grindy damage potential than people would think that it would do.
Yeah, and like it's a lot of bodies, right? I mean, it's 156 wounds. And some of them come back, and it's almost like with these additional. I mean, obviously, if you kill the Guardian of Souls with Nightmare Lantern, pretty much that's a big problem. So you might want to think about how to protect him. But
Lookout Sir, he should never not be in Lookout Sir if you're against the team.
And obviously, like the you can kind of protect him just by keeping him off the table and popping him up when you need it. So it's not too bad. I think the Cruciator is really cool because it gives you Chain Rasp a 5-up Deathless, so it just makes that unit particularly hard to get through.
Right, would do if they face something like this.
Yeah, it's.
Cry.
I like it. I just think you just outlast people.
Yes, you'll surprise anyone.
It's such a tar pit. I do think the Alinda list is a bit more damaging.
It definitely is.
Yeah,
you've got a techie positional grind list, and then a super fast, like more bomby list. But ironically, the super fast bomby list, the characters are just nigh on indestructible, which is both of them are really cool. I think I think I prefer the previous one because it doesn't have so many models in it. But obviously,
Yeah.
that's inherently one of the strengths of this list. It just make it a bit tiring
I
to play
mean,
with.
you can just swap the 30 Chainmaster to 6 Spirit Hosts if you want to. And that
Yeah.
gives you some more wins because they're 240 points for 6. They're
Oh,
not in the
perfect.
formation, so if you want to, you can. It gives you some more
I would.
wounds.
That's solid. And then people are only dealing with 2 hordes, which is very different to 3.
Yeah. So it's tailor it to taste. I mean, I do like 15s of Blade Guys, so you could even bump both of those up because it costs you 90 points each. So dropping the 30 allows you to buff both of those to 15s. You need another battle line, so you might have to split the Chain Rasp into 220s, and then I think you got a couple points for an endless. But there's stuff you can do. So, yeah, Michael, we did some stuff for the Legion of the First Prince, but I'm happy to talk in more detail about it. And we're just wrapping up our last prepared list. That doesn't mean we can't talk about it a little bit, but yeah, I think there's
Promise not to talk about Slanesh for everything else.
No. Yeah, but the Legion of the First Prince is kind of I think like it's a bit of a strange allegiance because like it's like a halfway house. Like not being able to take allies is kind of a big deal, right? And
it does feel weird. We'll have to we'll have to see what happens with that. It's in a slightly strange place, so it could change. I guess there's lots of things that look like they would make sense to be added in, not just because they're sick in the game, but you're
I'll
just
put
used
the list
to seeing.
up on the screen so you can see the list we did, which is an Archeon and Prince list, which is a little bit silly, but it's
oh, it's not nearly as silly as it looks on first sight. I don't think. I think you turn up. It's like the Corn Bloodthirster list. I think you're like, monsters.
Yeah.
What if? And then it just Martin just consistently 4-1 like 4 events in a row without playing hard players at a really hard time of the game. And
it was particularly good against Slanesh, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Yeah, John, you can look at your allies as well. I don't think the Necromancer can you think he can? Yeah, he can still Van Helsing, but yeah. Like I say, the Soulblight Gravelords book's imminent, so we don't know what's going to be happening to these scrolls. So I kind of just left it alone. I ran out of points getting the Nighthaunt stuff I wanted, so it was enough. But I generally think both those Nighthaunt lists are particularly good compared to like.
They'd confuse the shit out of your opponent.
I really like the Alinda one. I think that is a hidden gem. I think that's actually like with good play. I reckon that could do like a 4-1 easy.
Yeah.
I think because people just won't know how to deal with it. They'll look at it and go, look at this fluffy army. What's this about? And you'd be like,
I like that you're spending that much on formations and it feels like it's not a concession. I think that's cool. I just
adding a ton of value. Like points for the formations seem steep, but it's adding so much value. Getting +3 extra move, getting the extra spell in, getting your Light Shard of the Harvest Moon for reroll hits on the key turn where your Mayamons commit with the buff from Dispelling. They end up with 2 attacks on model with D3 damage. If you get to reroll to hit, it's amazing. You even Hex Wraiths charging on a 9, getting to go as they charge. Gets past some of the stuff like start of the combat phase shenanigans. So
imagine Daughters. It would just ruin Daughters, wouldn't it? It would tear them to shreds, and then you'd be sat there dealing with Marathi for a few turns, but it would be fine. Mulletron is describing a list that is indeed that is the list that I used to run, but in Death rather than in Nighthaunt. So he's asked, what do you think of putting Neferata in a Nighthaunt list? Her -1 to hit aura could stack with the Mongols, and her spell, because he's got a -1 to hit aura as well, even though it is a smaller range. And her spell makes her ethereal, so she would fit in. She's pretty fast. Could do. Her points aren't over 400, are they? She's 380 now, I think.
No, they dropped them below, so they're all allyable. And the only restriction on Mortarks is you can't have a Mortark unless you've got Alinda. So as long as because I used to run Arcan the Black and Alinda. And Arcan, because of his healing, is super efficient. But I think all the Mortarks are viable. I mean, even I was
going to say Manfred, but you could put Manfred buffs hit rolls and save rolls. He's like a mini Nagash, isn't he, Manfred? I'm just trying to remember his.
Yeah, I think you get to you get like an aura that you reroll hit rolls and save rolls. I think you're right. So it could potentially be a bit lucrative. I think 340 for
Reroll
Neferata
hit
now.
and wound rolls of 1 for friendly death units that are within the range of the table. And the table starts at 15 inches. That's within, not wholly within.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
all the Mortarks are a good ally. So you could play the Elinda's sort of Emerald Host, an ally in a Mortark. Obviously, you would have to drop a formation, and the obvious thing to drop would be the Black Coach and the Death Rider formation. That will give you 350 points, which would allow you to put Neferata in. So,
perfectly.
It's just whether or not you want to do that. Michael asked, do you think the Legion of the First Prince is fluff, or are there some potential? I think
summoning a catch people out. It's not consistent, but any time in a game when units land that weren't there at the beginning and you get to pick what they are, feels pretty good.
Yeah, I think potentially it's good, but I do think it's a bit on the soft side. I'm not going to try and like tell you that it's super competitive, but I think you could write a fun list that could compete mid-tier, sort of mid to upper,
I think
it's not top tier anywhere shape or form. But
it's not a no-brainer by any means. You'd have to really lean into it and hone and craft a list, and then you could do pretty well with it.
And because it's any
less powerful than it was.
Chaos Demon, I think there's even stuff you can do with like the greater demons from the Skaven book and stuff like that. So
I was thinking of that.
Even like Puscoil Blight Lords. I think Nurgle, like if you take a lot of Nurgle stuff, it really fits because the Nurgle demons are so good. And then being able to just plonk units down, and Belakor, his ability is so strong. But then I think you almost just take Maggot King and just ally Belakor in.
There's some weird lists where you force your opponent to come to you, and when they do, you just screw them anyway, because you can get some range shooting with Nurgle. I know it's a bit weird, but you start putting in warp lightning cannons or furnaces. Sorry.
What's weird is that, like, and I don't really know the interaction with this, is that in Wrath of the Everchosen, you've got this. That's the Slaves to Darkness book. Oh, they all look the same. All got Archeon on the front. Then basically you've got. See, I was just thinking about this, how this actually interacts.
Roll up to the first list if you could, Russ, just on the screen.
Yeah, sure.
People have already had enough of Night Hunt.
No,
they're like, bloody hell, I'm scared.
So Legion of Chaos Ascendant. So there's the Legion of Chaos Ascendant, and then it's like, which is kind of like the rules that are in Belakor, but not. And then you've got a Grand Host type option, like Lurid Haze, which is Legion of the First Prince. Now, I don't think that's legal anymore, because the Belakor book, I think, omits it. It goes over the top of it. Did you see there was something about that you ignore the page or something? Did you remember when we did the review, Byron? Or am I talking rubbish?
Which page?
No. I don't know. During recording, you said, it's the first time I've seen in a book where it says, ignore this from a Slaves to Darkness thing. So it says, here you will find the updated allegiance abilities for the Legion of the First Prince from Wrath of the Everchosen, page 96-97. So it's weird, because in 96-97, this doesn't make sense. So 96-97 is it's not even the right page, but...
Okay, we'll skip that one.
I guess they mean this, right? So this is the Legion of the First Prince. But Legion of the First Prince is like a host option in what they call Damn Legion. That's what it's called. And in the Damn Legion, you've got all the hosts. So you've got Legion of Chaos Ascendant. Sorry, you've got Legion of Chaos Ascendant. And then you've got all the host formations. So is that just a separate thing? And what they've done is they've just replaced the big formation with just an allegiance. It's kind of like, it's a bit weird. I don't know whether it's meant to be like that, but I'm not sure. I'm sorry that my insider knowledge isn't very good on this because I didn't actually playtest this. So, okay, Vince, thank you very much for that. I thought that was, I knew there was something in there. So there's a note that it replaces both Legion of Chaos Ascendant and Legion of the First Prince. So yeah, it does overwrite both, which I thought it did. Thank you very much, Vince.
Dude.
It's always difficult with trying to do stuff live, and you're like trying to remember where you saw something, and you're like, where was that rule? Where was that bit of writing? It's like the Law Seeker all over again, where it's like there's a little bit of text just above the bit where it says pitch battle profiles that says about unique and named, but then there's a separate unique and named thing in the other book. I think, and this is, I know Vince would appreciate this comment, but I think this is the problem is the way AOS has been structured, where you have like rules and then add-ons of rules and other rules, and they kind of overlap like layers.
4 books.
You just end up with these issues where stuff, you're like, how does that interact then, and what does that fit? And I think like,
or you know that it does, and you don't know why to tell people it does have to be that way, or which of 4 publications you're referencing.
And you
no,
play
you can't use Timothy General. Why? You can't.
Yeah, cheers, Vince. Page 96, last sentence. There you go. He's on it. He's on it like a car bonnet. So love it. But
good man. Help from across the pond. Thank you very much.
I think that the like, obviously there should be a point of time where the stuff gets tidied up a bit. It's why I was a bit surprised when, because the Wrath of the Everchosen is a weird book, right? Because I was really surprised when the Slaanesh book come out, and like the Lurid Haze and stuff wasn't in the Slaanesh book, and it would have been a nice opportunity to kind of like wrap up those things and actually like have them in the book. So it's kind of, yeah, it's just a little bit of a pet peeve of me. I guess they don't want to invalidate Wrath of the Everchosen, but it's like, what you do, you know, you end up with going to a tournament with 8 books in your bag, and it's kind of like, it's like going back to the old days.
So, leg day, turning up at the tournament with 3 kilograms of publications in an army.
Perhaps they just want people to lift more. That's what it's like. So, well, in terms of like Legion of the First Prince, I think it is in a bit of a weird spot. Honestly, I don't want to bang on it, but I do think you're going to have to try incredibly hard to find something kind of unique to make it good.
I think you'll have to put in the hours and the grind and hone your list and discover things and even ask for FAQs, and then, you know, be the only person always at any event where you're using it, and learn the shit out of it, and then sneak your way through. And it's not auto anything though, is it?
No, and I think as soon as you want synergy, you lean into one god, and then you almost go in, and because Belakor's an ally, you get so much more in those gods' allegiances, because then you can even go into like Munificent Wanderers or Lurid Haze or whatever. Exactly. So you're like, well, I might as well just play, like, you know, it's like what Martin Furnival was saying about, why don't you swap the Keeper for a Great Enclaimment? Then you might as well just play Maggotkin. And have Belakor as an ally, and it just becomes a better army.
Belakor is that, you know, he is undivided, but this is what he's meant to be, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think when we're talking about the Legion of the First Prince allegiance, it kind of feels like it's in a really weird spot, because it kind of leans into Belakor, which makes him a bit better, and you get the summoning, but you get summoning in the other. Though. Yeah, and I think like you go, actually, what we'll do is. This is why I think we went to Archaon, because he's the one model that every demon can interact with.
Yeah, exactly.
And so and Belakor gets better, so you've got 2 superheroes, and the Keeper just makes Archaon just potentially just scary as hell, right? And
you get protection by saturation as well, don't you? You know, if someone can just about deal with Archaon, what happens if you debuff
they
them
deal with
by
him,
one?
then he goes twice anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, he hits you, you kill him, he hits you, then he hits you again, just to be sure.
You might get 800 points worth of damage out of 3 activations with him.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I
have to see how those rolls go.
It's I mean, I know on paper the list, and you look and you go, well, that's a bit weird, but actually I think it is quite a good list. I don't think it's bad. Again, like, it would be nice if they FAQ about allies, because if you can ally Slaves to Darkness, then swapping the Bile Piper out for a Chaos Sorcerer and having Because the good thing about the sorcerer is you can use his ability on like Archeon, and then Archeon can like rush off and do the damage, as
Yep.
opposed to like you have to be near with the Bilepiper in the combat phase to like get the benefit of that.
Got you.
So yeah, but I mean, I think Belakor was almost like I think we called him the slut of chaos.
Yeah, well, he protects a thing.
he just basically
protects a big thing, doesn't he?
Yeah, he just basically
Or
goes
he
in
buffs a
any
big thing.
allegiance that's chaos. He doesn't care. He just throws it around, spreads the love.
Still got 2 spells, now faster, now hits harder, now has better rend, now has 3 attack profiles instead of 1, now has more wounds, is more points. All seems absolutely fair to me. You know, I still think he's an absolute bargain. It's not like you're writing every single chaos list at 1760 points, which you were. You know, that's not become you're writing every single chaos list at 1620. Now it is a decision, but he's still a very, very solid option. He's unique. He's still unique, and he still is an auto answer to anyone who's turned up with all of their points in one basket. You know, here's 450 points worth of infantry, or here's a key character that needs to get in position and do a spell, or anything like that. He's so powerful, and he makes losing a priority role just feel great as well, doesn't he? That's so strong.
Yeah, or even winning the priority role and going, off you go then. Have another go of doing nothing.
Yeah, off you pop,
Yeah, Michael. So basically, this sums up AOS and in to be honest, like in any army.
I have to tell myself this is the thing, otherwise there's no point in me playing Whistle there.
So just the exit scale of Warhammer. Love chaos, love it. So Michael, basically any army, I would argue that what's really, and this is why I love Slaanesh, right? And I know people will bag on them and say they're rubbish, but what I like about them is they reward the ability to really get the most out of the book, and there's so many nuances and options and things you can do, particularly in chaos in general, that you can find the kind of like the golden ratio or the diamond in the rough with effort and
or the
hard
thing that
work.
suits your style. There is so much option. Yeah. You can pick the grindiest grindy one, or the aggroest aggroy one, or the magicest one. Whatever it is, you can find something that exactly fits you as a player, and you really feel you want to. I want to do the best for my boys. I'm going to show them that they should be scared of Chaos Knights.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the best thing, and I think this is great. No worries, Michael. Anytime we love helping people out with their hobby is great. So anytime you're playing a game and you're going through this journey, you're learning and you're improving, and you're becoming an expert in that niche, because you're not meta list net chasing. So I spend a lot of time over the last few years in my gaming, because when I won the Masters, I kind of switched off my competitive gaming to a point. Forget about the ETC, that was different. But I tend to play a different army at every event, and mine is more about playtesting, because I just like to experience different things. So I've got a more rounded opinion when it comes to inputting into the studio on stuff, because I know that it's very easy to be filth blind or pigeonholed into your faction. And I think that by spreading it around, I mean, it's obviously hurt my rankings. I don't even think I'd show up on that list box because I haven't got enough results with any army, because I've switched an army every event. But that gives you a good knowledge of the game. And one of the things I get a kick out of with playing the hobby is just learning and the journey of discovery. And I would say that there's nothing wrong with losing, and there's nothing wrong with being in an underpowered army and going to an event and losing games, because just learn to enjoy that process and look at it as a learning opportunity or a way to improve. And that's way more important than worrying about
quick
winning.
Wins.
Because
quick wins as well, isn't it? They're not nearly as work. They're not. You didn't grind them out. You didn't earn them to the same degree. And with the book rotation cycles as well, you might spend 2 years grinding FAC, and then you get your day, and suddenly you are stomping it. That has happened multiple times with multiple books that have been pulled up a level. Even Gloomspite kits to a certain degree featured more books. A load of people have been playing them loads, got a new book that was slightly better,
Mm.
and did their thing with it. And they were way lower on the power scale than plenty of others.
Yeah, and Graces, should he be in an army with Archeon? Probably not, but I don't think it matters. They're all chaos in the
They
day.
look the same, it's fine.
Do I think Slanesh Seekers could be summoned via Belakor? I wish they could, but they can't. But it's they don't have. It's not keyword bold. It's the Demonet word. It used to be keyword bold, but
I've
now it's
already
just
asked
Demonet.
Russ questions like this whilst building lists, and it means that the answer was a no.
And I think, like, you know, I kind of feel a little bit guilty because I was on a bit of a playtest break at this time. I mean, obviously we don't design rules. We just feedback on stuff, which is, I know, is a bit of a misconception. Like, we have that much power. But I do find that it does feel a little bit ill thought out. The kind of the Legion, it kind of seems to be lacking a level because it doesn't have any battalions. It's a bit like Legion of Grief, right? When Legion of Grief hit, it was like, oh, this is really cool. It's got like the summoning from Legion of the Gash, and you can put Aether Quartz Brooch in, and then you realise you can never be anything but a bazillion drops, but you can heal your Bladeghast Revenants with grave sites, and so you're happy. And it was like, how do I make my Nighthaunt army slightly better? But then you get the problem that actually, as soon as the artifacts went away from Malign Sorcery, it was like it just doesn't have enough. And I think Legion of the First
lacks
Prince,
the longevity and bite that
Yeah.
you get from having something that is inherently good, not is, fleetingly or circumstantially buffed.
Yeah.
Or
And
whatever.
I think Legion of the First Prince is in that point. It's like it'll be okay.
I agree.
And you might find a list that works. But I mean, one of the good things about it is that if you've painted Belakor, a few demons, then it wouldn't be hard to switch it to a Nurgle, depending on what demons you've got painted. Like, you could go, I'm just going to go Maggot Kin, and you can like change your Nurgle elements and then have Belakor as an ally. Or if you had like Zinch and or Slanesh, you could go into a full Slanesh allegiance or a full Zinch allegiance or a full Khorne allegiance, and just use Belakor as an ally. And I think that he's such a good model for Chaos. He's just worth having if you play any Chaos army. And if you plan to play in the Allegiance, he's worth having. I mean, obviously, Skaven aside, but if you play the actual proper Chaos gods, then it's fine. Sorry, Vince, I know you love them, but they're not real Chaos. So let's get over
Trying
that.
to bait him back.
Ham-fisted him
Once
back
isn't
in.
enough. We
No,
want
I
you
need
back.
more comments from the man himself. No,
Yeah.
I think that, like, you just, I don't know, like, there must be something with like the Vermin Lords that might be useful in there. I know that Gabe was saying that the Corruptor's pretty good in there, but I think he's got the Nurgle keyword as well, so that would
I think Gabe said that he gets 10 attacks re-rolling hits, but I believe they're just 1 damage attacks. You don't have sort of it wasn't sort of anti-heroes, whatever it's called.
I know what you mean. The one
my old one.
Yeah. So fishing for sixes or whatever it was. So no,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
gone away. But they can't. I don't know. I mean, there might be a realm artifact that might be useful because you only get 1. But I think the reroll armor save artifact's really good on any greater demon that you put in the list that goes with Belakor. And obviously Bellacor's fairly resilient. So yeah, sorry, Grace.
Vince is so predictable.
Vince, yeah, but I mean that's what I mean. Like, I mean, like it's like, I think, like, for me, like, I'm super excited about going back to my slaves list that I've got up on the screen now and putting Belakor in and painting my 15 knights, 15 warriors, my 2 sorcerers. I've got my converted sorcerer from the FACEHAMMER Worldwide to finish off, and I've got the Belakor model come in. And then, it's just do another Demon Prince. And I've got I had the Forge World one. I got rid of it, though. I think I sold it. But, yeah. So it's, like, pretty cool to have, like, a mix of models that you're like, oh, this is really cool. And that's just, like, just have lots of Chaos Warriors. And it's still viable. Because he adds so much with his Dark Master ability. So... but yeah, Legion of the First Prince is a little bit disappointing. So
it's small, the books with less potential or variety in them, which comes from having less pages and less rules or whatever. It's a pretty consistent theme, isn't it? You look at the Grand Alliances that are smaller; they are even slightly hampered. Death and Destruction, I feel, have generally, on average, been behind Order and Chaos, and what more more variety, more options, more, you can discover something after 2 years because there's a synergy that no one else has tried, or you get more new releases proportionately, or whatever it is. The smaller ones do tend to suffer, I think, throughout the game.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think Order are definitely, and they seem to be the favourites. Let's put it that way of GW. They seem to get everything with knobs on, but
yeah.
I don't play
I mean,
Order.
if
So
you can't have 30 hero choices, what on earth are you doing, Stormcast?
you could have Glaive Wraith Stalkers. What are they? What are they about? Like,
By the ones you described to me as strange dogs.
The rat ghosts that float around with their sticks. Yeah,
Of course.
But
Absolutely.
obviously, like there is in the Broken Realms Belakor, there are rules for Caradrons. So we talked about it on the show, just a bit of things that we kind of didn't quite get right, or we sort of missed that I said I'll talk about. So in the KO, the guild triumphs, because of A for gold, can allow you to unlock a triumph. Let me just get the thing up. Oh, that's not.
Oh, of course.
So
I guess
actually,
you pick one of those to be unlockable with your Aether Gold.
Yeah, so you can use A for gold to get those abilities. So
There's a way to get one more shot on artillery from boats, wasn't there?
Yeah, so you can, if you can use the large caliber augmentation, so you can use your Sky Vessel could burn its A for gold. If it's got an A for chemist in to do an extra reroll wound rolls of 1. So that could be quite good if you just want to make sure your cannon goes off. But then you could burn the A for gold on the A for chemist in like your ironclad, if he's got the so he can basically buff the units inside the boat without getting out. So if you've got like a Thunderer unit with rifles, it could be quite nasty. So he can, like, obviously you don't have to get out the boat for that, so it's pretty good. And he can do 2 units if he's got I think it's a trait that you can have. Just lots of bold words in my eyes at the moment. If he's got the Chemist Supreme command trait, not in bold, that's why I couldn't see it. So you can pick 2 Skyfarer units. So if they're inside the same place as him, you could buff both units of 10 Thunderers. So it's pretty good. And obviously, like the Aether Sight, you could burn the gold on your Navigator to basically re-roll the Unbind. So if you were particularly wanting to stop a spell using their Aether Gold, probably the best thing you can do with it is a re-roll and unbinding roll. It also makes Barak Urbaz a little bit more interesting because you get extra Aether Gold. So obviously the more Aether Gold, the more you can use these new rules. So that kind of helps, doesn't it? So see you, Grace here. Thanks for watching. So that's like, fairly useful, and like even you can use their you can use it to add d6 to the move or re-roll run and charge rolls. So if you really want to like get your Sky Vessel across, and we did talk about the Suicide Boat, which is you could have your Navigator and your Endrin Master in the same boat. You could basically give your boat that extra movement. If you're in Zilfin, it could be super fast. Gets in, then you can blow the magazine if it gets blown up, so you can then blow up in their army. So Michael, just to answer your question about, do you think a Slaanesh feeling Demonette Legion of the First Prince could be possible? Yes, it's definitely possible, because you just take Demonettes and Belakor and Slaanesh stuff. Totally fine. And
no, I disagree with the second bit though.
Yeah,
I think Slaanesh have got that far better summoning, and
yes,
their summoning isn't the best in the game, but it is way more reliable than a whatever it is, like a 55% chance of summoning a restricted unit, rather than a non-optional chance of summoning a choice of 15 or whatever it is from the book. So I definitely think there is grounds for Slaanesh. In multiple different ways, using Belakor, using Archeon.
Yeah.
If you want to keep to that theme, you can even drop in Chaos Warriors in there. So you could you could fit something to the feeling of what this should be, what you're discussing, and just do it with more flexibility and potential and power from Slaanesh, which there's nothing wrong with.
I would say that because the allegiance technically is just a theme, right? So it doesn't change the models you buy. I would say do Slaanesh and put Belakor as an ally. So you're going to have way better rules doing that, especially because you can access Pretenders, Lurid Hosts, Godseekers. The summoning, like Byron said, in Slaanesh is amazing. Demonettes are a great summoning option. They are really underrated. I know we were a bit down on them in your main army when we did our Slaanesh show, but I think it's because you want shooting and that's your battle line, and we kind of think, well, actually, you could summon them. But actually,
I've already moaned about how prescriptive the battle line is in Slaanesh. Like you go Bliss Barbs of some type ×2, and then you put in one other battle line unit, and that is the start of every single army that I've written, unless it's Seeker Cavalcade.
But basically, when you played a game, didn't you? And you summoned 30 Demonettes. And
yeah, they are underrated.
Were amazing because they can reroll charges. Is that right?
Well, they're inherently strong anyway. They're high movement. They can reroll charges and units. This comes up very rarely in the Slaanesh book. It's one of my problems with it because it comes up way more commonly in other books where they write rules like this. Their exploding sixes being if you roll a 6/2 hit, it becomes 2 attacks instead of 1. If your unit is 20 more, it becomes 3 attacks instead of 1. That is relevant for 1 unit in a Slaanesh army. #bitter. Which is Demonettes of 20 or greater. And summoning 20 Demonettes, as long as they are attacking first, you are going to get the benefit from that. And that just screws averages completely, or means that you go to average far more reliably. Because even if you roll a massive amount of, 1s, 2s, and 3s, you only need a few 6s in there and you completely bounce it out. So yeah, Demonettes.
You often end up with more hits than you had attacks, right?
Oh, legit. Any OBR players know what I'm talking about. Hit cheapy boys. Yeah, it's as a summoning option, they are really, really underrated. They are far better with cogs if you're trying to be aggressive, but just summoning them and sitting them there feels like an absolute bargain. And I think people should be doing that and have not considered how good it is, basically.
So yeah, I think I would say, Michael, I know that there's a few people who've talked about Slaanesh in that way. I genuinely believe the Slaanesh book is very good and very competitive, and I think that it's got a high skill floor. So as a new player, it's gonna be painful to get wins with it. But if you practice and stick with it, I think that you will get to the point, or your missus will get to the point, I should say, that you'll be able to so say your partner, I should say, would actually get better at the game quicker playing with that than buying something which is perceived as strong like Lumineth and playing with something that you're not really into. If your partner's into Slaanesh and they bought Slaanesh because they like Slaanesh, play Slaanesh. Like, it's not bad. Like, honestly, I know there's a lot of noise
Hit
online.
me up as well if you want someone to send you like 50 different lists that I think are viable. Like the book is fine. It is not a star tier, but it is absolutely acceptable.
I think it can be extremely competitive. I think you can check on. We've got like 4 videos on Hedonites on our channel at the moment. There'll be more because obviously Byron's like well in, and I'm pretty into Slaanesh as well. I'm actually going on AOS Coach's channel this week to talk Hedonites as well. So I'll be sharing some lists, and I'll probably do a Belakor focus list there, and talk about Slaanesh as an allegiance and why it's good and what you can do, and things like Sigvold are actually particularly good, and they get around a lot of stuff in the game that because he ignores basically after saves. There's a lot of stuff in the game you just choose through. There's loads of good stuff in the book. I think Slaanesh are really, really good. So like, I know people will tell me I'm wrong, but it's fine. I think you just need to play games with it. It's definitely there.
They got options. They got one list that I'm not going to run that I think would, the challenge would be to not 5-0 an event as long as you didn't play like 3. There's 3 lists in the game that would outdo it for what it should do. basically. I think there's
Yeah.
some really strong stuff there. I just copy and pasted a list in, which was a Keeper Secrets, Sigvald, Belakor, 5 Hellstriders, 11 Bisp Barbs, 5 Chaos Warriors, 6 Fiends, 5 Seekers, and Cogs. That is a cool mixed Belakor featuring Slanesh army, and there is enough points in the Fiends and the Seekers that aren't battle line and Cogs that if you want to take them out and drop in Archeon, after dropping Sigvald or something, there's loads of different flexibility. But that as a core could get you anywhere to that type of theme list, I think.
Yeah, I think super good. I guess you'd run Lurid Haze with that, I assume.
Yeah.
So I just
there are other ones you can run.
But why would you? Especially when you've got Cogs
Yeah.
and Sigvald, right? So
yeah, you could go heavy. You could take the Slanesh Heroes formation, and I am in the process of trying to write up one of these, and then go heavy CP and take in an army that could, have a disgusting.
That's why I like
phase and
taking Seeker Cavalcade and then getting the Rod of Misrule in, because it gives you extra command points every turn, unless you roll a 1. I just don't roll ones. It's fine. Reroll saves on Belakor is really nice with Cogs. I'd probably be a good shout in Legion the First Prince, because then you get a 4-up rerollable with a 4-up bounce.
It's good.
That's only it's good. So I think in my slaves list, I'd think about running Cogs as well. It's kind of good. But I know we were talking about the Drongon's Aether runners and what formation you could tie it up with. So I think one of the things that would be quite useful is like if you're running like the Gunstock Escort wing, or like it doesn't really have heroes in it, but this one gives you like a hero and 2 units that you're quite useful, or even the Iron Sky attack squadron. But I think Iron Sky command is normally good because you have an Admiral 0-1, you don't have to, but you have an Ironclad 3 units, so you can have your Aether Chemist, Navigator, Engine Master, so that could be a guy with a backpack, an Archanaut Company and 1-3 Engine Riggers, and then obviously like your this formation has another units of either Sky Wardens or Engine Riggers and a dirigible suit guy. So yeah, it's quite good. I think you can it's quite a good formation. We talked about it. I just thought I wanted to cover back on the KO stuff. I haven't written any lists, but I'm sure that it could feature. But I think the Aether Gold just does having the triumphs is just great, because it just really goes in. I think the Barak Urbaz, if I remember correctly, they get bonuses to Aether Gold, which is so you don't lose bravery when you use the Aether Gold, and then pick D3 different units. At the start of the battle, they start with 1 extra Aether Gold. And then once per battle at the end of a combat phase, 1 for any Skyfarer unit that fought in the phase gains a share of Aether Gold. So you can really lean into it with like combat Engine Riggers would be quite good, because you'd be like, I can fight, use Aether Gold to get like reroll saves or reroll to hit, reroll hits or wounds, whatever, from a triumph, and then you can like at the end of the combat phase you get your Aether Gold back, and they don't lose any. They just don't lose any bravery for doing it in Urbaz. So it's quite interesting. I don't know what you feel about that, Byron, if you have any KO knowledge. Or
KO, no, it is a little bit lacking. Whenever I see those units, I think about trying to make them work in combat and fail drastically.
Yeah, but I mean, a 4-up rerollable save on a unit of 12 of them with the saws, would be pretty legit, right? I mean,
oh yeah, and that's something you don't have access to in that entire book. Is something that can behave like that in combat, and they hit hard. They rare triumphs because they're 2s to hit, aren't they? I believe.
I think they are.
I think they're 2s and 3s, which means that if you're
3s and
pooping out
2s,
Aether Gold,
so close
3s
enough.
and 2s. Yeah, so you can
rules. 3s and 2s.
Yeah, you re-roll that 1 to hit on those wound rolls, and that unit is going to be disgusting if buffed in any way.
And if you've got an Aether Chemist, you can get reroll 1s on the wound roll.
Oh, nice.
So you can you can get 2 rerolling ones. I mean, like,
and you can buff one of their profiles for attacking.
no, they don't do that anymore.
Actually, no.
No, they don't give you extra attacks anymore. They used to.
Oh.
That was the thing we got wrong in our show, because I was thinking about the old book when the Aether Chemists were amazing, but
They were certainly pretty good.
Yeah, and I think we talked about Gardas, just a little bit of correction from our show. So it's Saintly Assault is Harrow Knight Heroes within 12 can reroll charge and get +1 attack, so it's not as good. So he got a 4-up save, and normal Celestin has a 3-up save, so I know some people were a bit down on him. Also, I've been told that he looks like Philip Schofield, and now I can't unsee it, so
don't use that head then, at least he's got an alternate option.
But actually, still think he's okay. I know people think Harrow Knights aren't a good Storm host, but I think if you're playing them for the lore in the background, then yeah, well worth it. And his command ability is still add 1 to hit rolls for Stormcast units wholly within 12, so that was still buff your Retributors, and you could use a Vexilla for reroll charges or a command point. So still think he's okay. I still think he's got a place, even just for his aura of purity as well, which is nice. So he gets to bounce mortal wounds. So I think it's quite good that you've got a mortal wound save on your Stormcast that generally have good armor saves. So he'd be quite a nice buff piece for a Star Drake. He could kind of drop behind the Star Drake, give him a reroll on the charge, and then give him the +1 attack, and then drop your Paladins, and then
anything
get
with multiple
charge,
profiles.
And then you could use your command ability for +1 to hit on the Retributors. So I mean, it's either that or a Dracoff charge. You can superhero land and give him a big buff, and he gets to reroll his charge.
It's thematic, isn't it?
Which, it's really cool. It's like I know he's a bit lackluster in combat, but I think it's what he does around it, and I think he's not very expensive. I mean, for that kind of hero, and you're only paying 110 points, I think it's fairly decent. So,
absolutely, loads of options. I know. I can't. I was trying to craft crazy lists.
Are you trying to write a list on the fly? But
yeah, I'm trying to write a Supreme Sybarites iteration of the aggro list with Belakor in it, and you can actually do some interesting stuff with 5-drop armies, which is tempting a little bit, definitely. Sure.
Yeah, but
new toys.
There you go. John Dale says congrats on 40k subs.
Oh, thanks, John. Much appreciated. Super stoked to see it.
Yeah, it's good. Well done, mate. It's well deserved. I know how much work you've been putting in getting those videos ready. So every time I talk to you, you're always prepping for a premiere. So it's all good. Well, I think that basically wraps it up. Unless there's anything in the chat wants to immediately talk about.
Yeah, any specifics people want to check into, or even what factions, because Nighthaunt were requested. That's now been covered comprehensively with 2 pretty interesting lists, especially. What factions would people like to see us teching out?
I do think Belakor's still got a place in Slaves, and even at 380 points, I think he's well worth it.
Oh, he's fine. I like that he's faster. Makes a big difference, actually. 12 always, in certain lists, he was lagging a tiny bit, and that's enough.
2 inches can make all the difference for that, to getting into the right spot.
Absolutely.
So I wasn't trying to be
people are working.
I was just trying to say.
Well, I play with cogs. I know.
Yeah.
I
get your extra
2. Definitely know that feeling.
Or 4, really, because you get 2 to move and 2 to charge. But
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think the Nighthaunt have come out really well, actually.
Agreed.
I think there's even a list to use in the there's another formation that has Glaive Wraith Stalkers in it. I know Tom did it on the Warhammer Weekly show when we did sleeper lists. He was talking about Glaive Wraith Stalkers, so I know I'd be happy with Riken's Condemned host because it only makes that better. But yeah, I think I really like the Alinda list. It does actually make me almost want to paint my black coach and get my Nighthaunt out again. So
any excuse to put Hextrace on the table and not be embarrassed about their inclusion is awesome, and you should do it and take it because that is fun.
I don't have any Harrodins though. That's the problem. I'll have to. I could always join Brush some Termagants in blue. And then
It's
I know
19 points. I'm
Hormagaun's
sure you
in
can
it,
get
so
there however you need to. Are
yeah.
large units of Banshees viable with both Knight of Shrouds to buff their attacks?
Yes, 12. I would normally take a 12, but because the formation you need two, I had to split them out. But obviously you get the bonuses to cast and unbind, but the +1 attack command ability, because they're D3 damage, decent quality Rend 2 attacks, you're getting
Yeah.
the bigger the unit, the more value you're getting. So 100%, like you could run 2 12s in that list if you really wanted to. You'd have to find some points.
It's a good way to
But
start the army with less models to paint, and then you can build up or go in whatever direction you like. Absolutely.
yeah, cheers, Michael. Glad you enjoyed it. But yeah, so Chaos Lord on Manticore. I don't know. Maybe he'd be a good
We
shot.
discussed him.
But
He's not bad. His spell's not awful either. I think it's
I
an 8,
always,
but he's
I just always miss that like impactful monstrous hero in Slaves, and I think
he's
apart
with
from
an E.
Archeon, like they don't
Yeah.
really have they don't have a Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon equivalent. Like Chaos Lord on Dragon. I used to run back in 6th Ed a Zinch Chaos Lord on a Chaos Dragon, and it was just really good at casting, really good in combat. And you're like, where's my Chaos Dragon? Where's Ergrim Van Horstman? Where's that level of combat beast on a dragon from the Chaos Army? And I know you've got that silly Khorne Forge World model and you've got Archeon, but it's like you almost want something in between the Manticore and Archeon. I think Belakor kind of feels that now. But yeah, I'd love to
He's not
have.
got bad options. He's got a 5-up Mortal Wound, 18-inch spell. So as in you roll the dice for each model in the unit on a
This is
5-up
the sorcerer,
Mortal Wound.
or is this?
Yeah, it's the sorcerer. Each 6 is D3 Mortal Wounds. He's
Mm.
not a bad option. He's just not. Those guys always feel a little bit. He's got 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1 damage D3. That feels better than any sorcerer ever should, to be fair. So even though the Manticore is not quite as fighty as you'd like, he hits fairly hard.
Yeah, but you got the Chaos Lord as well, which I think is pretty pap, if I remember.
Yeah, his command ability is upsetting. It's reroll charges or something like that. It's poop.
I think the Karkadrak is almost better than the Manticore. I'd argue.
Fair.
I think it's good. What is it? Iron Wield Overlord. Pick one friendly Chaos Warrior unit wholly within 18. You can reroll charge rolls and battle shock tests. Ooh. Woo.
Well, you get Oracular Visions from the Sorcerer Lord. That's enough to, you just start off good anyway,
off right
and
there,
he moves faster. Yeah.
Yeah, I see him move 12 though.
Yeah. Yeah, move 12.
The Manticore's fairly weak, isn't it? 5 attacks.
5 attacks, 3s and
1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, respectively.
Yeah.
Rend 1 damage 2. It's okay, but
the dude on top, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1 damage D3 kind of makes up for it. He's not bad.
Got a 4-up save, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the type of person you need to be putting into crap, otherwise he will die as well. He needs more babysitting than you would think, unless you got a debuff army.
I know from running Arcan, like Arcan's like profile is better than that, and he's fairly struggles with even like shitty units.
And Arcan's way faster.
And he's way better. So, I know he's more expensive, but
some more.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Like I that's why I kind of like the new Belakor, because he does feel that monstrous combat hero that you don't really have.
So nice to see Rend 2.
Yeah, right. Just some Rend in a Chaos army, who knew? That's why I think he'd be a good addition in the Khorne army as well, because like Rend's something they struggle with. I wonder if there's a list with like Belakor and like the Tyrants of Blood, Reapers of Vengeance style list.
That could.
So
yeah,
could work quite well.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
So
Khorne summoning. I think Belakor and Archeon excel in lists where you get access to summoning, because they take up a fair bit of your points, and it doesn't matter nearly so much if you can add some stuff to the table later on.
Yeah, that's why I think that Legion of the First Prince list we had with the first list with Archeon and Bellacor's good, because every turn you could basically drop a unit. On average, you can drop a unit of 10 ablative wounds for Belakor, or a screen or an objective capturing unit or a horror unit to get a spell that then would they get a spell? Because would they?
They would
They'd
be a
have to be in
wizard.
Zin, yeah, but they wouldn't get access to any of the cinch spells, would they? Because they're not
No,
in
they
Zinch
wouldn't,
allegiance.
unfortunately.
So that's the problem with this sort of stuff. All the stuff doesn't really work because there's stuff you get to do that. No, that's only in that allegiance.
You can't
so
have your
do that
cakes and eat them unless you're spending 800 points on Archeon, basically. Don't get me started.
Should we talk about Law Seekers for an hour? No.
No, we should not.
Yeah, we do need to do a techless show at some point. Anyway, I think we've rambled long enough. So thanks everyone for watching. Cool. If you like, hit the like, hit a sub. If you're not subbed, appreciate that. Yeah, I do think the Chaos Lord. You think he wish the car contract was better? I still think he's good. Yeah, but thanks for watching, and keep up to date with the channel. We would do sort of live streams periodically. When there's a release, we do a release show. We're gonna do, I think we got some plans for doing some more deep dives on obviously I want to do a techless themed Lumineth show because that's been requested quite heavily.
A techless technical show.
Tech list show. Does that work?
Yeah. Tech list.
A techie tech list show. I don't know.
Perfect.
Yeah. And obviously we know that Soulblight Gravelords are coming. So when they drop, there will be a hefty amount of content around them because they're particularly dear to my heart. Obviously,
Russ loves death.
I do love death. Death and chaos. What does it say about me? I don't know, but yes. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you all again soon. Yeah, cool. See you later, guys.
Absolutely.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, catch you in a bit. Do feel free to pick up any dice or templates or merch to help support the show if you're enjoying what we're doing, and make sure you click that subscribe.
Yeah, and if you want to give us a little donation, we've got the Ko-fi link as well. It's in the description. It helps. And if you want to know what equipment we use for recording or hobby stuff, there's also an Amazon link in the description of the video, which takes you to our store, and you can buy the same stuff, and we just get a little kickback from that. And also, we are sponsored by Element Games, so go there to all your hobby needs, and that would be awesome. Facebook messages, no, I'm a bit rubbish with Facebook. I don't use it.
Twitter,
I'm really not that good at it, so it's better to get us on Twitter. I'm way more active on that, or just on the channel or in the Discord. It's probably the best thing. And speaking of Discord, join the Discord community and say hello and hang out. And we will be doing a Realm Hammer show update soon, which is the painting competition. And also, just as a quick reminder for people in the UK or even outside that can travel if they're allowed, FACEHAMMER GT this year is coming in September 11th and 12th. It'll be hosted at Element Games, as we'll be there, so you can meet us and play some Warhammer and sink some beers if you're into drinking, or have some tea, whatever, and buy some models from Element and just chill and have a really good weekend. So we love it. I can't wait to get back to events. I've just been missing it so much. So that would be awesome. So all right, guys. Perfect. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all soon.
Catch you in a bit. Stay safe, peeps. Bye.
Bye.